Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Crypto Atlas. In today's episode, we're going to be primarily focusing on Orchid, aka OXT, because there is some really interesting news that just kind of went under the radar that's about to be brought into the light, more than likely starting tomorrow. So if you guys are watching this video, make sure that you stay tuned. We're going to start off with some news and some information regarding Bitcoin. But just to clarify for everybody here, somebody had left a previous comment. And no, I'm not getting paid to boost or promote or talk about Orchid. I'm sharing with you guys news and information I find very interesting on this stuff. I do own some Orchid, aka OXT, but I find it to be a very interesting project, and I see a lot of promise in it, which is why I invested in it. And as there's a lot of different altcoins that are out there, I could be talking about a million different things. A lot of people have shown and expressed a lot of interest in Orchid, aka OXT. And so because I'm interested in it, you guys are interested in it, I like to see the dialogue, and I also think it's cool that you guys are leaving comments down below, feeding into the conversation, giving your own thoughts and opinions on it as well. I always encourage you guys to do so, and I also encourage you to do further research behind what I'm saying. I'm not a financial advisor. Think of this as entertainment, educational purposes, but you should always do further research on your own. And yeah, guys, it's nice to meet you. If you're new to the channel, if you're a returning viewer, it's good to see you guys again. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video. I would love to see this video hit anywhere between 50 to 100 likes. You guys have been absolutely killing it on this channel, and I do appreciate that, guys. So let's start off with what's going on with Bitcoin. So a couple of different news articles that I thought was pretty interesting, and then we're gonna actually take a look more at the chart here itself. I got a lot of tabs open, so we're gonna move through these pretty quickly, okay? So over here, first off, we've got a massive moment as first ever DLC smart contract deployed on the Bitcoin mainnet. Now the DLC, as most commonly we've known this phrase, is downloadable content, but that's not what is being identified here. And a lot of people, I'm hoping that some of the other cryptocurrency YouTubers, they're gonna talk about this too, because this is very powerful. The DLC, it actually stands for, where is it right here? I just had it. It's a different phrase. Sorry, the discrete log contract. There you go. So two crypto enthusiasts just made a $10,000 Bitcoin bet on the next US president using a smart contract. Really kind of emphasize that phrase right there, smart contract. That's what Ethereum kind of came into the big picture space with cryptocurrency. But now, instead of a separate cryptocurrency that utilizes smart contracts, we're seeing an application being used on Bitcoin itself as a smart contract. So the idea behind this that was used, they use GitHub, and they talk a little bit about it down here, is that there's an election that's coming up, as everybody knows, and these two decided to make their own personalized bet, and they had set some identifiers so that the transaction will actually submit the Bitcoin to either party, depending on who it is that wins, or if there's actually a third party, then there's even a chance for it to be canceled and refunds to be established. They've got this totally flushed out, it looks like, and this is a big step in the direction forward for Bitcoin, and as far as how much it's going to be modified and protocols being added on top of it through third-party applications, and just enhancing that actual experience, showing that it is a good fundamental basis as a cryptocurrency. Even just on its own, you can continue to make it better. Things like the Lightning Network have also made it so that transaction times are much faster. So there's a lot of progress that's being made in the cryptocurrency space. We see a lot of stuff with DeFi and altcoins and all this other stuff, right? But we know that the king of kings in cryptocurrency all comes back to what? Bitcoin. So very good, bullish, positive news hearing something like this for Bitcoin. For Ethereum, I don't know if this really pulls that much away from it, but the fact that you can start to do smart contracts directly off of Bitcoin, from what I'm seeing on this article, unless there's something else. I mean, if you guys know of something else in the past, I can't think of anything, but the way that they really illustrate it here, and I haven't heard of anything else, this sounds very, very good. Aside from that, you've also got over in Africa. Think about all these other places in the world where they could be using Bitcoin, right? The value of the United States dollar, the value of every currency in the world is essentially going down because every country keeps printing more. That's inflation. And we know that with Bitcoin, it has quantitative hardening, which means that because it has a limited supply of 21 million Bitcoin, we know that actually goes down. Technically, you're producing more Bitcoin, but the rate every 4 years slows down, and we know eventually it's going to have a cap. There is no cap with the United States dollar. There's no cap with the franc or the rupee, the ruble, or the yen, the bolivar, right? All these different currencies. And over in Africa, this is just one example. The shift has boosted his profits as he no longer has to buy dollars using the Nigerian naira, I believe that's how you say their currency, or shell out fees to money transfer firms. So long story short, and this is a great little article, it's over here on the NBCnews.com from NBC News, which is also great. It's not directly from one of these Bitcoin related websites or cryptocurrency related websites, right? But they're talking about how over in China, they say we would prefer it if you send Bitcoin. The fact that they can use this, there's transaction fees, you don't have to worry about the conversion rates to the dollars, and on top of that, you also have an asset that over time appreciates in value, as we've seen historically as a trend, right? It's a store of value as a currency. So people in these other third world countries, in developing countries and countries that are starting to get a lot more momentum, you're going to see more than likely, as they get more access to the internet, as they continue to develop their economies, the fact that you can trade with other countries, that's where real power starts to come in. You can grow and do what you can natively amongst your own people, but if you really want to become a big powerhouse in the world, you have to do worldwide trade. You have to be able to find ways to do exporting and importing of goods in order to be able to reach a broader audience. And that's simple business economics, right? You got supply and demand. So if your demand is restricted to only the people that are in your country, then your supply and your demand has a smaller cap than if you had the entire world that you could do business with, right? And faster means of communication, better business practices, all these kinds of things will lead to the different companies that are working with you to say, I would rather work with you than these people, right? You have lower prices, you do faster shipments, or you have more resources available than the other people in their countries because of your location and the minerals that you've got, resources, all those kinds of things. So again, some very good information in regards to Bitcoin. Now, when we go take a look at Bitcoin's chart, and then we're going to be moving into Orchid. So I know that's what a lot of you guys have been waiting for, but I think it's also good that you know that we do talk about Bitcoin and do analysis into this. But we're going to look just briefly into Bitcoin and then move into all the stuff that we saw over here with Orchid. So as we take a look, we can see on the 21 EMA for Bitcoin, it is still bearish. It is still below the 21 EMA. And we're actually seeing, based off of this ascending wedge pattern, that we are getting very close, which we did actually bounce off of yesterday. Right off of that point, I'm really glad that I have this set up here, but we bounced right off of that point, right about at the $9,813 mark or so, according to the trading view. And we're starting to push back down. It's got another red candle that's forming. There's a lot of news that's going on in the stock market. Tesla's down, Apple's down, NASDAQ, Dow, the S&P 500. We're starting to see another crash, and it's starting to give you those flashbacks of back in March and Black Friday, which took place back, quite a while ago, but history is repeating itself, and that was called Black Tuesday when the stock market crashed, the Great Depression. And Labor Day, we came back, the stock markets opened up back when? On a Tuesday. So we're seeing another decline. These are not good indicators, and a lot of stuff is starting to play more on like a psychological level, as well as the issues with inflation and how much that they're printing, and the feds are pumping the stock market. So a lot of stuff related, and you have to look as best as you can at the big picture and prepare yourself and try to be ready so that you don't get wrecked. So we are seeing a decline back. It has potential to move back up. A lot of people are looking at it from a psychological perspective, thinking that the CME gap has to be filled. As you can see, even at this moment in time, we're starting to push down to $10,000 again. I mean, I've been staring at this all night. the last couple nights, seeing it go right down, almost touch 10,000 pull up, almost touch 10,000 pull up, just barely past 10,000 pull up, and it's constantly dipping its water trying to push down. There's a lot more force that's trying to push it down, and it's having a lot of time struggling to try and keep itself up. So right now, me personally, I'm more bearish on this than bullish. There's a lot of good news, but in the short term, it definitely looks like it is more likely to be pushing down. Okay, let's go ahead and move on now. So Orchid, aka OXT, right? When could we see it go to Binance? I think that's a big thing that a lot of people are curious about and wondering, right? Well, let's kind of look at some historical trends and see if there's momentum that's going on for its adoption rate onto the different exchanges. And this is important. The more exchanges that you go to, the more potential audience of buyers that you have, which means more demand. So supply, that's one thing. If you increase demand, you're already setting yourself up in a position to have an increase in price. More exchanges that it gets released to, the higher the probability is, the more likely from a technical analysis perspective, the price will go up. Not guaranteed, but that's the whole point of TA, is to look at probabilities on things. So Coinbase, back on December 18th, 2019, right? I have it prior to this January point. I didn't want to click back because I highlighted some things I didn't know if it was going to mess up. But you're looking back in December of 2019, okay? Then after Coinbase, we look at something like over here 5 months ago, back on March 17th. This was for OKEX, which they had added in, right? And then after that, you see it trailing on down here. And then August 12th, you see another addition. And then August 27th. What is August 12th and August 27th? We'll get to this one here in a minute. August 12th, we have with Uphold. So if you guys don't know Uphold, in the Brave browser, which is an internet browser, you can be able to earn the basic attention token. So they are in line with the basic attention token with Uphold. And just recently on August 12th, this has an integration with Uphold. Same thing with Chainlink. And Chainlink has actually been really booming. The other one with this was also OX or 0x. I'm always confused on how to say it, but I think it's pronounced OX. So that's actually very bullish news. You got something that's being really relatable with a lot of different main cryptocurrencies. And then after this one from the August 12th, you have the August 27th. And guess what? The August, you maybe just saw what I was talking about. August 27th there is with BKEX, another cryptocurrency that is with a large Mandarin speaking user base. So very bullish news, more opportunity there. And then this just kind of slipped under the radar. This isn't on Orchid's website. And I mean, I just kind of came across this because it was slightly remarked by somebody else on Twitter. So big shout out to the person over there. In fact, you know what? Just to show them a little bit of love, let's go ahead and pull this up real quick. Hopefully I can find them again. Scroll on down here. Hopefully I can find it really quickly for you guys. I should have had this already up on the side. There you go. So this guy, Greg Magic, from 9 hours ago, he said, anyone else notice OXT just got listed on Upbit? One person commented. Only 8 people, well, 9 people, I just liked it, have even talked about this. And yeah, sure enough, I looked up Upbit. Guess what? Upbit has added it. This is actually off of upbit.com's website, and this was September 7th, 2020. So it was just yesterday's news, and this is in Korean. And then you have the translation down here. Dear Upbit users, Upbit adds following digital assets on BTC market OXT. So very bullish news information, right? So you see in green highlighted here back in like December, you have Coinbase Pro. And then next thing you know, over in March, about 3 months later, you have the addition of another exchange. And then you got this long quiet period. A lot of downturn, right? In March, you saw Bitcoin starting to go really down, and the market started to accumulate, and then it started to come back. Momentum started to build with Bitcoin back again around in August. Now you got 2 different exchanges in the same month that it's been added, and then another one. So you got about 1, 2, a little over 2 weeks, 1 to almost a week and a half, 2 weeks in separation of time for 3 different exchanges. And how are these exchanges kind of placed with everything? Well, you take a look here on CoinMarketCap website, which I believe is kind of biased because I believe Binance actually bought CoinMarketCap. So that's a little bit aggravating, but they're looking at it from volume supposedly over the last 24 hours. But anyways, if we take a look at this, you got OKEX, which is listed at 17, BKEX at 13, Upbit, which was just added at number 9 in the top 10 for exchanges, and number 3, Coinbase Pro. So the number 1 big one, which a lot of people are hoping for, they think it's going to be very bullish for something like Orchid, is going to be Binance, right? But as we've seen, we got now a second exchange based in the top 10 and also in a very short period of time. All of these being within the top 20. So what exchange realistically could we see them be pushing towards next? If you want my personal opinion, I think that there's a good chance we could see Kraken coming up next, Binance potentially, just personal opinion, before the end of the year or early of 2021. And I think one of these might be an additional Asian-speaking based exchange next, as we have seen previously in the analytics that a VPN-based service is most predominant, especially in China. So if they're trying to focus on their target demographic audience and where the most demand is going to be applied to something like this, I think that's a good chance. So Hubi, gosh, I said this before, I believe it's Hubi. So yeah, guys, that's basically my technical analysis on this. I want to look at the actual chart right here. Also, just so you guys know, try to see if there was a correlation between their release of their OXT as part of their protocol system into the different groups, and if there was direct relationships to these different exchanges that are being listed here. And there's not. There's like 2 that it was the day after, and then other ones it was like 2 weeks after. So I didn't see enough reliable data information to say that like, hey, when they do this, then when X happens, then Y happens. Taking a look at the actual chart right here, I guess I'll kind of finalize this up. This is a kind of a long video here again, but hopefully you guys appreciate it. Again, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. But looking over here, based on my chart trend pattern of what I had set up previously before, we're still below the 21 EMA. I saw somebody else had mentioned that it formed a death cross, which is the 50 and the 200-day moving average, which is bad. That's considered a negative sentiment. It's a bearish indicator. But that's also when you're looking at the 50 and the 200-day moving average, you had this very long period where nothing really happened. Everything sort of exploded up and was looking really good, especially with its release that it had back on this other chart here, back on, what was it, August 16th? Yeah, August 16th, we saw a huge spike up in price there, and there was also the exchange that it was listed on. So a lot of good news. But then, of course, you saw Ethereum pull down. You saw Bitcoin pull down. You saw Chainlink. You saw OMG. Everything was basically pulling down. Gold, the stock market, all that stuff. And so everything got impacted. I would not say that this was necessarily a pump and dump. I say that this is a reflection of what's happening to the entire industry as a whole. And I personally am still remaining bullish on this, especially because we broke above this trend line pattern. Depending on where this daily ends, if it remains above this line, then we've got 2 instances that are technically above the form of resistance, and so that could lead to a further push up, the likelihood of that, instead of it having a further retracement down, because we're having a continuation pattern. But this slight increase above, which you can see, it's so thin, it is so thin, it's barely above, is not a strong enough indicator, in my opinion, for it to be remaining really, really bullish. It is at the moment still above, but we could see a pullback even further down and reaccumulate back into the space. In fact, you do see a lot of accumulation starting to go sideways, which is what we actually had previously leading up to before this big bull cycle run had started. So if some good news comes out, especially for Bitcoin, I think a lot of investors are going to be feeding back into something like this. As it is at this exact moment, it is in the red, and I would keep your eyes peeled. If it pushes back down to around 32 cents, we can see a lot of this support being pushed really close into the similar ranges, and then it bounces off, right? And we also see these high candlestick wicks on the top before they have a pullback further down. So we might see that happen once again. Just prepare your guys yourselves. If you're holding long term, I think that there's a lot of promise for the application of this and for the increase in demand for this. In the short term, as of right now, be cautious. Be very, very cautious. Always do further research. I hope this information was helpful for you guys. If you did find it helpful, we are trying to push to 1,000 subs, man, or woman, or bear, tiger, a cat. I don't know who's watching this right now. Maybe it's a turtle. Hi, turtle. That sounded stupid. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this content, please make sure that you hit subscribe. Feel free to turn the bell notification on to get alerted when there's more videos like this. Also, don't forget to hit like. If we can get to 50, 100 likes, great. Feel free to share this if you got some other people who think this could be good information for. And also drop a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this information. If there's anything that you'd like to add, something interesting that you found that happened with Bitcoin recently, good or bad, and anything good or bad that you see going on with Orchid, totally voice your opinions down below. I'll be reading those comments, guys. And thank you as always. I'll see you in the next episode.